Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my journey, hello. Subscribe and go through some of the playlists. You can see my IVF journey and my pregnancy journey if you've been with me a while. Hey. So this is on the backlog of my 38-week pregnancy video. So due dates, I've been confused my whole pregnancy, and I've even mentioned it in this video. I've spoke to consultants about it and it's been ignored until today. So with IVF, you know your due date because you know the day the egg is fertilised, you know the day it's put in, so they know the due date. And I've made this point throughout because from the first scan my baby was measuring earlier, but in England you have a kind of growth scan at 12 weeks, and that's the dating scan, and that's when they dated my baby 6 days earlier. So my IVF due date is 23rd of August and they've put me down as the 17th of August. And it turns out this shouldn't have been the case, even though I've brought it up several times. They've told me I was wrong and it shouldn't have been the case. So this equates with so much because around 20 weeks I was panicking because I didn't really have a bump. My movement was a little bit behind, but that kind of 6-7 days makes a big difference really in those stages. You know, his movement patterns, things like that. And then obviously if you've been following me, his growth is huge as well. So now, even though he's on and slightly above the 90th percentile, technically he'll be even higher because he's 6 days younger, almost a week younger. And I kept saying to Tom all along, I don't understand how he can miss a week of life, a week of growth. So that's what was confusing me, if that makes sense. So those of you that have IVF pregnancies, I'm not sure what that was. My other half's doing work, he's panicking now that the baby's on its way. Make sure it's, you know, you talk to your consultants that it is the IVF date. You know the day that embryo was fertilised, you know the day it was put in. That is correct, not just the size of the fetus and the embryo on the scans, because that's just size. Our baby's big, it was always going to be big, it was just big from day dot. From our 6-week scan he was already 5 days ahead, and we found that weird at the time because I think he was like 8 millimeters big in that scan. So just make sure you get that so they can you know, look after your care, because it turns out that you shouldn't, well, here their policies are that IVF pregnancies shouldn't go past their due date because you know the age of the baby, so you don't want them to get too big and have any problems. So on the backlash of that, I have my induction booked for next Friday, which is 17th of August. However, it should be the 23rd of August. It's such a mess, it's so confusing. So that is, you know, make sure they write your due dates down. And you know, if you've been through fertility treatment, you know your dates, you know what happens, and don't let professionals kind of pin you down, because it's 2 of them now that have said no. This is so annoying. But yeah, I'll have a baby at some point. I was just more worried about him getting too big, because one consultant mentioned if he gets too big for my pelvis, that's when they're going to struggle and have to have a C-section. Which I don't want. So that was my panic today when I found out I was right and he is a week younger and he's big. So that's a little update on due dates. If you know your due date, tell them.